Hello friends, welcome to the Point. In today's session, let's discuss about Vijayanagara Empire. The history of Vijayanagara Empire, it constitutes an important chapter in history of India. 4 dynasties called Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva and Aravidu. This ruled Vijayanagara from 1336 to 1672 AD. The sources of the study of the Vijayanagara, they are varied, such as literary sources, archaeological sources and numismatic sources. Krishna Devaraya's Amukta Malyada, Ganga Devi's Madura Vijayam and Alasani Peddanna's Manu Charitam, these are some of the indigenous literature of this period. Many foreign travelers, they visited Vijayanagara Empire. The Moroccan traveler Ibn Battuta, Venetian traveler Nicola de Conti, Persian traveler Abdur Razak and Portuguese traveler Domingo Paz. These were among who left valuable accounts on the socio-economic conditions of Vijayanagara Empire. The copper plate inscriptions such as Srirangam copper plates of Devaraya II, they provide the genealogy and achievements of Vijayanagara rulers. The Hampi ruins and other monuments of Vijayanagar, they provide information on cultural contributions of Vijayanagara rulers. There are numerous coins issued by Vijayanagara rulers and they contain figures and legends explaining their titles and achievements. Political history. Vijayanagara Empire, it was founded in 1336 by Harihara and Bukka of Sangama dynasty. They served originally under Kakatiya rulers of Warangal, and then they went to Kampili, where they were imprisoned and converted to Islam. Later they returned to Hindu fold at the initiative of Saint Vidyaranya. They also proclaimed their independence and founded a new city on the south bank of Tungabhadra river, and that new city was called Vijayanagara. And it was called as Vijayanagara because the meaning of Vijayanagara is a city of victory. The decline of Hoysala kingdom, it enabled Harihara and Bukka to expand their newly founded kingdom. And in 1346, they brought the whole of Hoysala kingdom under their control. The struggle between Vijayanagara and Sultanate of Madurai, it lasted for about 4 decades. Kumara Kampana's expedition to Madurai, it was described in Madura Vijayam. He destroyed the Madurai Sultans, and as a result the Vijayanagara Empire, it comprised the whole of South India up to Rameshwaram. The conflict between Vijayanagara Empire and Bahamani kingdom, it lasted for many years, and the dispute over Raichur Doab, that is the region between the rivers Krishna and Tungabhadra, and also over the fertile areas of Krishna Godavari Delta, it led to a long drawn conflict. The greatest ruler of Sangama dynasty was Devaraya II. He could not win any clear victory over Bahamani Sultan. After his death, Sangama dynasty became weak, and the next dynasty was Saluva dynasty, and it was founded by Saluva Narasimha, reigned only for a brief period of about 1486 to 1509. Krishna Devaraya. The Tuluva dynasty was founded by Veera Narasimha. The greatest of Vijayanagara rulers were Krishna Devaraya, and he belonged to Tuluva dynasty. Krishna Devaraya possessed great military ability. His imposing personality, it was accompanied by high intellectual quality. His first task was to check the invading Bahmani forces. By that time, the Bahmani kingdom was replaced by Deccan Sultanates. The Muslim armies were decisively defeated in the Battle of Divani by Krishna Devaraya. Then Krishna Devaraya, he invaded Raichur Doab, which had resulted in confrontation with Sultan of Bijapur, and the Sultan was Ismail Adil Shah. But Krishna Devaraya defeated him and captured the city of Raichur in 1520. From there he marched on Bidar and he also captured Bidar. Krishna Devaraya's Orissa campaign was also successful. He defeated the Gajapati ruler Prataparudra and he conquered the whole of Telangana region. He maintained friendly relations with Portuguese. Albuquerque sent his ambassadors to Krishna Devaraya. Even though Krishna Devaraya was a Vaishnavite, he respected all the religions. He was a great patron of literature and art, and he was known as Andhra Bhoja. 8 eminent scholars known as Asthadi Gajas were at his royal court. Alasani Peddanna was the greatest and he was called Andhra Kavita Pitamaga. His important works include Manu Charitam and Harikathasaram. Pingali Suranna and Tenali Ramakrishna were other important scholars during Krishna Devaraya period. Krishna Devaraya, he himself authored a Telugu work called Amukta Malyada and Sanskrit works called Shambhavati Kalyanam and Usha Parinayam. Krishna Devaraya repaired most of the temples of South India. He also built the famous Vittalaswamy and Hazara Ramaswamy temple at Vijayanagara. He also built a new city called Nagalapuram in memory of his queen Nagala Devi. So beside this, he built a large number of Raya Gopurams. So after death of Krishna Devaraya, Achyuta Deva and Venkata succeeded the throne. During the reign of Ramaraya, the combined forces of Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Golconda and Bidar defeated Krishna Devaraya at the Battle of Talaikota in 1565. This battle is also known as Rakshasa Tangadi. Ramaraya was imprisoned and executed. The city of Vijayanagara was destroyed. This battle was gently considered to mark the end of Vijayanagara Empire. The Vijayanagara kingdom, it existed under Aravidu dynasty for about another century. Tirumala Sriranga and Venkata too, they were the important rulers of this dynasty, and the last ruler of Vijayanagara kingdom was Sriranga III. Administration. The administration under Vijayanagara Empire, it was well organized. The king enjoyed absolute authority in executive, judicial and legislative matters. He was the highest court of appeal. The succession to the throne was on the principle of hereditary, and sometimes usurpation to the throne took place as Saluva Narasimha came to power by ending the Sangama dynasty. The king was assisted by a council of ministers in his day-to-day administration. The empire was divided into different administrative units called mandalams, nadus, sthalas and finally into gramas. The governor of mandalam was called Mandaleshwara or Nayak. Vijayanagara rulers, they gave full powers to local authorities in administration. Beside land revenue, tributes and gifts from vassals and feudal chiefs, customs collected at the ports, taxes on various professions were other sources of income to the government. Land revenue was fixed, generally 1/6 of the produce. The expenditure of the government includes personal expenses of the king and the charities given to him and military expenditure. So, in the matter of justice, harsh punishments like mutilation and throwing to elephants were followed. The Vijayanagara army, it was well organized and efficient. It consisted of cavalry, infantry, artillery and elephants. Hybrid horses were procured from foreign traders. The top grade officers of army were known as Nayaks or Polygods, and they were granted land of lieu in their services, and these lands were called Amaram, and the soldiers were usually paid in cash. Social life. Alasani Peddanna, in his Manu Charitam, he refers the existence of 4 castes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras in Vijayanagara society. Foreign travellers left various accounts on splendor of buildings and luxurious social life in the city of Vijayanagara. Silk and cotton clothes were mainly used for dress. Perfumes, flowers and ornaments were used by the people. Pius, he mentions about the beautiful houses of the rich and the large number of their household servants. Niccolo Conti refers to the prevalence of slavery. Dancing, music, wrestling, gambling and cockfighting were some of the amusements. The Sangama rulers were chiefly Saivites and Virupaksha was their family deity, but other dynasties were Vaishnavites. A large number of temples were built during this period and numerous festivals were celebrated. The epics and the Puranas were popular among the masses. The position of women was not improved and some of them were learned. Some of the women were educated. According to Nunes, a large number of women were employed in royal palaces as dancers, domestic servants and palanquin bearers. The attachment of dancing girls to temples was in practice. Pius, he refers to the flourishing Devadasi system. Polygamy was prevalent among the royal families. Sati was honored and Nunes gives a description of it. Economic condition. According to the accounts of foreign travellers, the Vijayanagara Empire was one of the wealthiest part of the world. Agriculture continued to be the chief occupation of people. The Vijayanagara rulers, they provided a stimulus to its further growth by providing irrigation facilities. New tanks were built and dams were constructed across the rivers like Tungabhadra. Nunes refers to the excavation of canals. There were numerous industries and they were organized into guilds. Metal workers and other craftsmen flourished during this period. Diamond mines, they were located in Kurnool and Anantapur district. Vijayanagara was also a great center of trade. The chief gold coin was called Varaha, but weighs and measures varied from place to place. Inland, coastal and overseas trade, it led to the general prosperity, and there were a number of seaports on the Malabar coast, the chief being Kannanur. Commercial contacts with Arabia, Persia, South Africa and Portugal on the west, with Burma, Malay Peninsula and China on the east flourished. The chief items of exports were cotton and silk cloths, spices, rice, iron, saltpeter and sugar. The imports consisted of horses, pearls, copper, coral, mercury, China silk and velvet cloths. The art of shipbuilding had developed. Cultural contributions. The temple building activity, it further gained momentum during the Vijayanagara rule. The chief characteristics of Vijayanagara architecture were the construction of tall Raya Gopurams or gateways and the Kalyana Mandapam with carved pillars in the temple premises. The sculptures on the pillars were carved with distinctive features. The horse was the most common animal found in this pillar. Large mandapams, it contained 100 pillars as well as 1000 pillars in some big temples. These mandapams were used for seating the deity on festival occasions. And also many Aman shrines were added to the already existing temples during this period. The most important temples of the Vijayanagara style were found in Hampi ruins or the capital city of Vijayanagara. Vittala Swami and Hazara Ramaswamy temple were the best examples of this style. The Varadaraja and Ekamparanta temple at Kanchipuram, it stands as examples for the magnificence of Vijayanagara style of temple architecture. The Raya Gopurams at Tiruvannamalai and Chidambaram, they speak the glorious epoch of Vijayanagara. Music and dancing were also patronized by rulers of Vijayanagara. Different languages such as Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada and Tamil flourished in these regions. There was a great development in Sanskrit and Telugu literature. Krishnadevaraya, he himself was a scholar in Sanskrit and Telugu. His famous court poet Alasani Peddanna was distinguished in Telugu literature, and therefore the cultural contribution of Vijayanagara rulers were many-sided and remarkable. So in the next session, let's discuss about Bahamani kingdom. Thank you.